Okay, yeah. Hey guys, thanks for coming. This talk is about the past, present, and future of blockchain gaming. Brief recap, I am the owner of blockchaingaming.com. I got it a couple years ago for pretty much one primary reason. I saw this industry as a first mover, or this sub-industry in the blockchain world. And the reason I thought this would be a first mover is very simple, actually. We bypass the enforcement issue. By this I mean, if you put your car on the blockchain and I steal it and you go to the police, they'll ask you for the owner manual. And if you tell them it's on the blockchain, they might not help you, right? In a video game, it's trivially easy to enforce blockchain ownership in the world. The developer has that power. And for that reason, we're going to see movement in this industry much faster than we'll start seeing physical things and important things like houses and large properties on chain. So when we first started having blockchain games, it was almost entirely about gambling. It was pretty much inspired by the perception of Bitcoin as being anonymous. It's not, I can tell you. Use Monero if you're going to do crazy stuff. But for a while, that was kind of true, before people had as good methods of cracking algorithms and seeing through mixers and stuff. And there were some cool things about it. The biggest one was just provable fairness, wherein people are always paranoid about the house lying to them, about them not getting the winnings when they're supposed to. In a blockchain where we can see all transactions and the flow of funds, we can verify that the casino is honest. And for a lot of people, this was really important to them. The casino industry is probably known as shady, so people always suspect things like that. And going further, you can actually enforce, that's on the one level, you can see everything they're doing. But on a second level, if you get into smart contracts, it will actually be impossible for them not to lie. Everything's automated. A truly good, decentralized casino just follows the orders given to it in its smart contract. And then, the next stage, people started kind of wanting to see more game-type games, not gambling games, and those started to crop up. But at first, it was mostly just kind of little browser games. I'm going to pick on one in particular, because they're not here, and their project is gone. Mooncoin was one I reviewed a while ago. I spent a lot of time reviewing games for Bitcoin Magazine, News BTC. And this one, you could kind of see what all of these people are doing. They take a currency they want to promote, and they use it as the in-game currency. End of story. And typically, they didn't finish the game and got bored of it. That's the case of Mooncoin. Check them out on CoinMarketCap. It's around $1,000 now. Same story. They had a go at it, and they quit. But then things started to get interesting. I call this the Renaissance. Early on, we had a lot of interesting experimentation in the blockchain gaming world. This one is called Coindroids. In Coindroids, coins are ammo. Every other player has an address, and you actually shoot him by sending money at him, by sending a transaction to the other player, which is kind of interesting. It makes it's not fully decentralized, but it's going a step in that direction. It's definitely transparent, and it's definitely has decentralized aspects. Funny story about this game. I was playing for a while, and I took a hiatus, and I forgot the code to my wallet. I had like $30 in Litecoin as spare ammo, and Litecoin went up. I had $300, and I went back to the game, and I couldn't remember my password. It's kind of like my gun is jammed. If any of you know a good hypnotist, please refer him to me. This one was cool, Huntercoin. This was going way further down the decentralized rabbit hole. Just a serverless game. I would say it was kind of ahead of its time. You needed a solid state drive to play. You can see, based on the graphics, that's kind of odd. But I think, it's sending, in this game, basically, without a server, every move has to be a transaction issued. And that's kind of phenomenal, right? Every character, every tile, the whole map is on the blockchain. And sometimes I've talked to developers who don't see the value of that, and the best way for me to try to explain the value of that is with a story. They had an incident, a guy they called the Dominator. The Dominator had an army of bots. You can see all the little hunters, or players. He had an army of them, and he took over the world of Huntercoin, which means he took control of the money supply, the coins that are dropped in the world you have to fight over. So the best analogy I'll use for this is a South Park analogy. If you watch South Park and you've seen the WoW episode, what eventually emerged with no mods, no admins, is that they cannot ban this player or squelch him in any fashion or nerf what he's doing. So basically, all the players had to band together and try to defeat him by the rules of the game. Kind of like the boys in South Park when that dude killed the mods and admins. Except in this game, they lost, and the Dominator took over the world of Huntercoin. He was too good. So what they had to do was fork the blockchain and create a new world. The Dominator still dominates on the old world, but alone by himself. On the new world, people are still playing. So it's really fascinating. You see, that is the type of thing that can only happen in a decentralized game. And it makes it feel kind of more organic. Here's another cool one that is no longer around. They tried to do a thing called proof of play. This is Motocoin. Proof of play is pretty much what it sounds like. Instead of proof of work, the person who gets to mine the next block, is the person who beats the level first. You got to get your bike and find the coin. I think it was a coin. I don't recall. I didn't actually play it much. AI took over the game. And this is one of the leading obstacles. I'm going to get into the future later, but AI has had a lot of, caused a lot of problems for these fully decentralized games. In this case, this one AI got too good, and no humans could effectively compete. And if one got too good, if he could beat the level twice in a row, that's like mining 2 blocks in a row. That's a 51% attack in the making, isn't it? So that's kind of dangerous, and that is what happened, and this game is gone. But I would like to see more of that kind of thing. Next, the true ownership thing happened, and that really, really grew the size of the blockchain gaming space. It was a slight step back in terms of pure decentralization, but they had a lot more actual game dev experience. Like this, Build Genesis was the first I got in the App Store, for example. It was clear that they had made some games beforehand, and they just moved on it. They had the resources, go. And I really like the true ownership concept. I feel that those things are more mine. It's not yours if someone can just take it. Like in World of Warcraft, I used to own the auction house. I had the gyrocopter. I would get death threats from 12-year-olds, stuff like that, just hiking up the prices. But at the end of the day, I can't sell my account. I can't trade my account. It's not really mine. In this sense, if I went to Everdreamsoft's office and set it on fire, you would still have your cards. They can't take your cards. There's nothing they can do. I could kick their server over. Nothing, you're good. And I like, they're starting to form a nice little community around here. A lot of games are already cross-pollinating their items. One I like is I do Sarutobi and Spells of Genesis, both in the App Store. The Sarutobi guy is cool. I tweeted at him asking for a token. I wanted the Sarutobi token. And he used Takara to drop it at a local library near me, so I had to leave the house and run and grab it and come back, which was kind of fun. He might do it for you if you tweet at him. I don't know. Don't bother him, actually. But yeah, I like the way this evolved. And also, Beyond the Void is doing the same thing, true ownership. Everybody clap. They organized this. Thank them. And yeah, they've also pioneered a lot of mainstream relationships, like Beyond the Void, got Steam, Spells of Genesis early on. I don't know if they still are with Channel 4, but they were at one point. And now they're obviously both involved with Ubisoft. So what we're seeing is the people in this true ownership circle are succeeding in bridging to the mainstream video game industry, basically, is the way I would put it. Then CryptoKitties happened. This was my favorite CryptoKitties meme. If you don't recall this time period, this was the time period when Bitcoin was suffering massive scaling issues, and someone made a comic. Well, the first comic didn't have the cats. It showed the Ethereum guy marching ahead and winning the race. And then a bunch of cats came and slowed him down. That was, some Ethereum guys didn't like that. They were like, hey, get rid of your cats. I thought it was cool and clever. And it goes a little step beyond true ownership in a way, in that you can breed the cats. That does add a little more organic feeling to them. You know what I mean? They're not static. And that's kind of interesting to me. But they did a really good job. Clearly, they understand mass psychology, and they pushed it well. And a lot of the space grew massively after that. I think everyone knows that. Ponzi games. Anyone played any of these? This one's called FOMO 3D. Yeah. It is a scam, and they are honest about it. That's the thing. Is it a scam if they tell you it's a scam? I don't know. That's kind of on you, right? This one's very simple. There's a timer. You can pay to reset the timer. And whoever paid last will win if the timer runs out. You see how this will go, so you'll keep, like an auction kind of, you'll keep trying to pay the timer and be the last who did it, and the price will keep going up. And if you're not the last who did it, then that'll stink for you, right? Someone else will, you can see how it works. And you can see the language they use. It's very cheeky and humorous. And they have some other ones, like Proof of Weak Hands 3D. The reason they call it 3D is because they're calling it three-dimensional cryptocurrency investment. And what they mean by that is that, traditionally, all that matters to an investor is movement in price. It doesn't matter, actually, the size of the asset's market cap. What matters to you as an investor is just the price of one unit of it, really. But that is not the case in these 3D games. These 3D games, the volume at which price moves, has a massive effect on your earnings. So that's why they call it three-dimensional. I haven't played any. One of my colleagues at blockchaingaming.com has. He didn't win. And this is where, this is going to get interesting. I see, just like we're going to see a lot of parallels to the traditional video game industry. I think a lot of the platforms emerging are going to be kind of analogous to consoles. They're going to want to get all the games. And it's getting very competitive. And there's a lot of really good platforms to talk about. I can't possibly really mention them all, so I just picked a few. But, what we have here right now would be like, imagine there were 1,000 video game consoles, like beyond just game, Xbox and whatnot. And all of them had one game. That's kind of where we're at today. There's many platforms compared to games, and the ratio implies that we're going to have a huge attrition rate. And it'll be very interesting to watch. Some of the major players, Game Credits was kind of first. They had a lot of funds raised early on. I don't know if they're much around anymore. They mostly did payments with crypto. It wasn't. It was mostly as simple as that. And then obviously the BitCrystals and Nexium guys, they have their own cryptocurrencies, and their purpose here is they want to get other games using these currencies, right? It's the same idea. It's a platform, and it'll form, a group of games around this platform. Zaya looks interesting to me. I'm using the Wii example, because Zaya clearly is going to be the most decentralized in the way they're planning it, and that can be risky. It's a more ambitious goal. And it's kind of like the Wii, right? The Wii would just kind of turn things around, did its own thing, had, I guess the word I would use, technologically innovative, like just trying new things. Engine Coin, kind of like Xbox. They were a late arrival to the blockchain gaming space, but they hit hard when they arrived, right? Engine Coin has a pretty good fund, and a lot of people are joining them. It's pretty impressive, actually, how quickly they accomplished all of that. But they did have some gaming experience before that, so it's understandable. Decentraland's another cool one. I was actually never played or invested in Decentraland, but they've done the same thing. They have entered, what they've done is offered a fund to subsidize blockchain game development in Decentraland. It's a $5 million fund. And obviously what's happening here is they want the games on their platform, just like any console would. That's a huge bonus for them. And then there's a lot of games that are on no platform, like CryptoKitties is just on its own thing. You can just put a game directly on Ethereum if you want to, without delving or putting it on top of any of these platforms, and some people will. And these are some predictions for the future I have. Like, I really think third-party support, by which I mean the number of games you have on your platform, is going to be a huge definer of every platform's success. The PlayStation 2 is a great example. I had one, it broke 3 times. And it was expensive, and it had the worst graphics of the 3, but it won in sales, in profit, in user base, because it had the most games. I think the same thing will happen in this industry, this subspace here. And we're going to see people clamoring. Maybe we'll find some, like some people put their game on both PlayStation and Xbox. We'll probably see some of that too. And it's going to be very interesting and very competitive. Scaling's another huge issue. People have been talking about that. Zaya spoke about that yesterday. Many people did, because obviously we saw CryptoKitties just clogged Ethereum. If we all played games like that all the time, it would be crazy. So probably our ability to scale on the blockchain is going to define the pace at which our games are built and how complex they are. Another bullet point, one more prediction that I forgot to put in the slide, is about artificial intelligence. It's a real interesting setback here, right? So like Huntercoin had an MMO, but they had no NPCs in their world. NPCs run on AI. If you have a fully decentralized world, that implies you need decentralized artificial intelligence, which is not a thing anyone has done yet, and is a complicated thing to try to do, right? Think of the gas fees. How many calculations does AI do per minute? It's a lot. So probably someone's going to have to merge that with this, and a lot of more interesting things will happen. We also need to be able to detect AI players in an automated way. Like, recall Motocoin's proof of play was crashed by someone whose bot was too good. If we had a decentralized manner of detecting that sort of thing, that wouldn't have happened. So our ability to integrate AI and detect AI will also pretty much define how complex our games can get and how quickly. That's pretty much it.